Hello everyone and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Today we are racing online once again. We're starting off with a bunch of races I hosted, and for this first one I'm driving in this R33 Skyline GTR. There's an R32 and there's also a Toyota GT86. We get a good start and immediately pull away to the first corner. This race is kind of in line with what I used to do back in Gran Turismo 6 long before I started on YouTube. We used to do set performance points races at Bathurst, almost always at Bathurst, because it was just a popular track, I suppose, and a favourite for most of us. But yeah, we used to do anywhere between about 400 and 650 depending on the day, and obviously back in Gran Turismo 6 performance points were calculated very differently, so to put that in perspective, in the lowest performance points races I used a little Isuzu, I actually forget what it's called now, but it's a little Isuzu of some kind, old 1970s car I think it was, and yeah, in the very fastest races we would use the Super GT cars for the most part. But anyway, the first race of the day was actually very easy. We pulled away from the start and that was it. We held the lead for the rest of the race and just pulled the margin. Eventually the R32 Skyline moved ahead of the Toyota GT86, making an Aussie 1-2. But yeah, that was really all there was to it in that race. So yeah, at this point I'm thinking this car is amazing. The R33 Skyline, very comfortable to drive and quite quick here around the mountain. Of course, only 3 of us in that race, fairly small field, but victory is victory. And yeah, that was a good way to get things started here. So we move on to the next race then. This time we are racing at night in a similar fashion. We've got a Subaru WRX as well as another, or a Supra this time rather, in this race. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Just Aegis Hiroki goes flying off the road just about there in the Supra. He did manage to sort of pull it up eventually, but made a big mess of that first corner, and we've got much better straight line speed than the Subaru, so that's good for us, and we are pulling ahead into the lead now as we head up the hill once again. But look at that Supra, that is a rocket ship in a straight line. That is unbelievable straight line speed out of that car. That is just insane. We got a bit deep and the Subaru gets through as well, but that Supra is something else in a straight line. I thought we were quick versus the Subaru, but wow, that is crazy. As we all head into the cutting. It looks a little bit more sluggish through the corners though, the Supra, as we're almost going 3 wide there. We're going to try and feed it in down the inside of the Subaru. We're not quite going to get that done though. We're just going to sort of back out of that. I don't want to go all the way around the outside at the top of the mountain. Didn't too much fancy that option, but yeah, we definitely both have a better cornering speed than the Supra, but he's done alright to hold on so far as we begin to head down through the S's, over Brock Skyline, now down into the S's, and the Supra just holding his line at the moment. And yeah, we are starting to close in to these two. I think the Subaru is pretty quick through the corners as well, maybe better than us, but the Supra goes wide. That gives an opportunity to the Subaru slows down on the exit. We narrowly avoid contact there as the Supra goes blazing on back past us, but I don't know what the Subaru was doing there, as that was almost a Jamie Whincup Garth Tander moment with McLaughlin going off at the chase a couple of years ago when all that kicked off. Here's the onboard with the Subaru. You can see no contact with the Supra, and then slows down as if he was giving the position back. So yeah, that was very awkward, but anyway, we will continue to push on. But yeah, that was a weird moment. Maybe on his screen there was contact with the Supra, I'm not sure, but certainly for me, that all looked very weird and unnecessarily awkward. But anyway, you can see we make a little bit of a mess of the chase, just going slightly deep, and now the Subaru's got the run down the inside into the final corner, and they've got that position as we head, and we almost tried switchback there, but we didn't quite manage to do that, and we're going to slot in behind the Subaru for the time being. We'll see if he can catch the Supra. Oh, the Supra's off the road at turn 1, and that's going to give us both a position each. Subaru's into the lead, we're up into second, and we might grab the lead here, as we've got a great straight line speed once again compared to the Subaru. Up the mountain especially, it seems more so pronounced than down Conrod Straight. And now here comes the Supra, big lunge down the inside. The Supra goes deep, we go a little bit deep, not quite as bad, but the Subaru drifting its way through the Griffin's Bend there, and taking the lead with style on the inside line. That was spectacular. But wow, that was quite an exchange heading up the mountain. In the end, we're all still in the same positions we were in at the start of Mountain Straight. But that really, that moment demonstrated the difference between all of our cars. The Supra fast in a straight line, the Subaru quick through the corners. We are somewhere in between. As we continue to push on though to the end of lap 2, we're starting to struggle with the Supra right behind us. The Subaru is absolutely gone, taken off into the distance, and now it's a fight for second between myself and the Subaru, and the Supra rather, the Toyota Supra. I should start calling it the Toyota to stop the Supra / Subaru confusing my brain. But anyway, the Toyota goes blazing on past down the inside into turn 1, and we try and flick it in around the outside, and you can see visibly how quick we could go through the corner in comparison. We're able to sort of turn it down tighter, try to get a switchback of some kind, but yeah, none of that really worked, and now they are several seconds up the road already. So that's a thing. I'll have to check the numbers later to see exactly how much faster that Supra is in a straight line compared to my car, because I've got the second fastest car in the straight line. We're faster than the Subaru, so yeah, it's crazy. I don't know, it must be engine swapped or something to have that level of straight line speed, but it's working. That crazy time he gains in a straight line is probably equivalent to how much he loses through the corners. So it's just a different way of achieving the lap speed, and it creates a very interesting dynamic in the race, as we are catching up once again over the top of the mountain, down through the S's here, flicking it in from left to right. This Supra has a big old moment there. We grace the wall slightly, but that's going to give us the position up into second once again, as we head down all the way to Forest's Elbow. Let's see if we can get a nice run through here, a bit deep and wide, so that didn't quite go to plan, and that might give the opportunity to the Supra. Although to be fair, the Supra might just get past no matter what we do there, because look at that straight line speed. It is unbelievably insane as the Supra makes its way down towards the chase. We'll go on board and watch the speed. They got to 340 kilometers an hour for a brief moment there. That's just insane. What are we going to get to? We're at 240 at the moment, 250 now. We might just get to 60. There we go. Just before the braking zone, we get to 260-ish. So we're effectively 80 kilometers an hour slower in a straight line. That is more than significant. That is just extreme difference in achieving the lap speed, and if they made less mistakes, they probably could have won that race. Mr. Hiroki, Aegis Hiroki in the Supra, but yeah, they were off the road 2 or 3 times during the course of that race, and it cost them the opportunity to take victory in this one. The Subaru gets it. and yeah, we are left with third place, wondering where all our pace has gone compared to the first race. If you want to go out the livery on our car, it's from the Bathurst 6-hour race I did quite a while ago now. Anyway, we move on to the second race. We keep the same 3 cars we had before and add one more. A Mitsubishi Lancer has joined the field. We were actually meant to have a Honda NSX as well, but they pulled out at the last moment. So we now have 4, should have been 5 Japanese brands represented here, and that is absolutely full send from the Supra. That's borderline too aggressive, but given how much trouble they've had braking in that car, we'll let that one slide for now and assume that was a mistake. It can be difficult, especially in a car that builds its speed up quickly, to pick your braking point into the first corner. But anyway, we'll see how the rest of the race plays out. Both myself and the Lancer go deep into turn 2, Griffin's Bend, and I mean, Hiroki has already taken the lead, of course, in the Supra. The run up Mountain Straight at the start of the race is always going to give an opportunity to cars that are faster in a straight line. But meanwhile, we are left to fight over third place with the Mitsubishi Lancer, as Hiroki in front of us now struggling through the middle sector as expected over the top of the mountain. So we'll see the same patterns emerge in this race as the Subaru is pulling away. It'll be good to see a battle of raw speed between the Subaru and the Supra, as the Lancer, we're pretty evenly matched with the Lancer in a straight line, but it does have, in the corners rather, but it does have better straight line speed. So yeah, we're just lacking a bit in a straight line, I think, in this car, which is what's sort of holding us back. We're definitely good enough through the corners, but yeah, just we don't quite have the straight line speed, and we'll need to do something about that if we want to get competitive in these races again. Clearly, in the first race we didn't have particularly competitive opponents, but yeah, nothing really happened for us in the fourth race, unfortunately. In this race, I don't even know what number we're up to. Third race, I think, maybe. Yeah, this is the third race. My bad, but we finished fourth in the third race, and yeah, quite a way behind. But everyone else was pretty close. Hiroki takes the win in this one, with the Subaru right behind, and the Lancer right up there as well. So the 3 of them had a really close race. We just didn't quite get there. So yeah, I don't know, we need to find a bit more pace somehow, because they're all looking very, very quick, and we just don't quite have the lap speed to keep up. Anyway, we're going to keep going with the same car once more, and give it one more chance here, and hope for some better luck. But we'll see as we go to the next race. We'll get this one started. A couple of Civics in this race. We've got an Alpine A110, a 2017 Nissan GTR, and Audi Sport Quattro up at the front. It's a much bigger field, along with a couple of the cars we've been racing with all along. And the Civic goes wide at the first corner. We'll duck in and take that position up into P7. We initially had a fairly good launch off the line, but didn't really do much with it, as everyone else, started to build up the speed. But yeah, you can see everyone escaping down the road. As I mentioned, we just need more straight line speed to keep up effectively in these races. Little Civic behind us beeping the horn in response to us as we head into turn 2. A couple of cars in the barrier here, the Impreza and the 2017 Nissan GTR finding the wall. Little Civic gets through on the inside. Must be Jordan Cox at the wheel of that one to be getting through there so quick. But anyway, we'll see if we can do anything about any of the other cars in front. We're catching up to the other Civic as we start to climb the mountain, and we'll see if we can get past some point later in this lap, as they're getting very close together with the Supra in front as well. All 3 of them travelling in a line. Supra's into the wall. The little Civic goes flying off into the inside barrier there. There's been a bit of chaos at the metal grate as the Supra goes a bit wide, and that's gonna potentially give us an opportunity down through the S's. We're just gonna play it cautiously this time, and well, I mean, there's not a huge point in us overtaking that Supra at this point of the circuit, because they're just going to get back past in a straight line. We didn't get close enough anyway. We had a little look to the outside of Forest Elbow, and they show us the long way around. We can't get through there, and we slot in behind once again. The Impreza gets back around us with a little bit of lag there, but nonetheless they're through cleanly, and that's left us down in 6th position with only the Civic and the GTR behind us. I say that the Civic disappears from existence, and now we just have the GTR behind as we look to potentially catch the Subaru in front of us once again. We may be a touch faster through the corners, but we just don't have enough in a straight line. As we continue on, the GTR retires as well, and that leaves us in 6th place, last of the running cars. We have a little bit of whoopsie at the chase on the final lap. Not really going to affect too much as we find our way back onto the track. But yeah, it was the Audi Sport Quattro that took the race victory there ahead of the Alpine A110 2017. So I didn't expect that car to do too well, honestly, but fair play, 2nd place. And the European cars take over in this one. Not a good race for Aegis Hiroki, who's been very, very quick in that Supra. Only P5 for them, so not up to their usual standards. They've been finishing in the top 2 in most of the races so far. On to the next one then, and this time we still have a fairly decent sized field. The notable car in this one is once again Aegis Hiroki, who has switched to the Honda Beat of all things. So we'll see how that goes as we get going for the race. And the Subaru there from pole position, a terrible getaway, and that causes inadvertently the Beat to get shoved off the road as the car behind had to take evasive action. The 3 North American drivers going 3 wide into the first corner, and they all file through and manage their way through there unscathed. There goes the Beat in a straight line. Looks like Hiroki knows how to tune those cars up for straight line performance. I think that might be even faster than the Supra, but if not, it is just as close. But I didn't actually save a replay of this race, so I can't check what kind of speeds the Beat was doing, but I mean, it doesn't even matter. It's stupidly fast, that's what it is. Anyway, we thumped the barriers there on the way into the cutting, sort of slowed our whole momentum up as we start heading up the hill, and now that Subaru is right on us, and we're just going to let them through as they were catching quite quickly. So they've got good pace over the top of the mountain, and I'm not really in a rhythm yet. It does always takes me a little bit to get into a rhythm, even in a short race. So yeah, that always sort of holds me back a bit at the start. Nonetheless, we will get there, hopefully, as the little Civic gets through as well. And now we have no one left behind us, but we'll push on and see what we can do in this race. But I don't have high hopes. I'm losing faith in this car. I thought maybe after the last race, we kept up with a couple of cars. Maybe we could make it work, but yeah, it just doesn't have it. As everyone else has been getting into faster and faster cars, we're losing more and more, and this time we don't even make it to the finish line, unfortunately. And yeah, we finished down in 7th. We kept up with the little Civic alright, but that was it. Clean race bonus, that's nice. Anyway, we move on to the next race. This one we are driving the Toyota Celica GT4 rally car, and we'll see how this goes. A different car, and hopefully it will give us some better performance. We'll see. I showed this car over the start of the previous Gran Turismo video. The Subaru getting bumped off the road there. That is Aegis Hiroki, who has switched cars yet again. He got 2nd in the previous race in the Beat, for goodness sake. That is just insane. But anyway, we race our way up the hill once again. Hiroki goes for the move down the inside and just cuts us off in the braking zone. We make a bit of awkward contact. He hits the barrier, or they, I don't know if they're a he or a she. We have a bit of a moment. The Ford Focus gets through, and that's another interesting addition to the field in this one. We started with 5, we're already down to 4 by the way, as we sit on the rear bumper bar of the Focus. Let's see if we can make the move down the inside. We're just sneaking a look here, but we're not going to get through, graze the barrier on the inside, which spoiled our momentum. And now we'll see if we can make the move further around the track. They look a little bit out of shape, so it's only going to be a matter of time. I think they slap the barrier there at the metal grate, and we'll make the move around the outside into the next corner, into McPhillamy Park. We're already right on the back of AJ Hiroki in the Subaru. Big lunge down the inside. Again, we'll just graze the barrier on the way through, but this time we make the move work, and we move ourselves ahead up into 2nd position now in this race. So running well in this one in the little Celica, so let's see if we can hold on to this position throughout the rest of the race. But it has certainly started well for us here in this one, as we accelerate our way down the mountain for the first time. Be interesting to see if that Subaru can catch up, but for the moment we have made a good start and running well in this one. So yeah, we'll see what happens as we head now into the chase for the first time. Can brake super late in this car, and yeah, flows through here really nicely. Definitely could have carried a bit more speed than we did on that occasion, but really these are my first laps in a race in this car. We continue on, and that was really all there was to it. The Ford didn't make the finish. We bring it around the final corner, and we don't actually make it to the finish line. We finish in 2nd position ahead of Hiroki in the Subaru, but we didn't actually cross the line. So yeah, that was kind of a weird one. But anyway, moving now on to High Speed Ring, where we go racing yet again. 4 cars in this race, 4 very different cars. We've got an E-Type Jag, we've got a Mach 1 Mustang, we've got a Toyota GT86, and we've got a Honda Civic. This is going to be a much slower paced race than anything we've done earlier in the video. This is, I think, more or less a standard E-Type Jag. We're still on the comfort tyres, and everyone is beeping the horns off the start as we've got the wipers going. That's not going to do us any good. We take the lead now into the first corner. Been a good launch off the line for us, and we'll see what we can do in this race. But yeah, this has started out very, very well for us, so it's going to be an interesting one if we have this kind of pace in a straight line on a track that is all about straight line speed. Really, we have a bit of a slide into turn 2, but we manage to contain it. We've got a massive gap to the field behind, so who knows, we might be able to hold on to this throughout the race, but we'll see how it goes through these 2 corners. This is where the cars with better handling will be able to make some gains, and I imagine cars like the Civic should be better through these corners compared to this car, which is a million years old at this point. So anyway, move on to lap 3, and you can see we are still struggling through these corners, and the Civic is ever closing in these sections. So it'll be interesting to see how this battle plays out as we start to think about the final lap of the race. And here comes the Civic drawing alongside in the tunnel, and we're going to have to use the straight line speed we have. There's nothing more we can do other than accelerate, but it's going to have to be that straight line speed that holds on to this first place position for us, if anything. So as we try and glide our way through the final corner, the Civic drives around the outside of us like we're standing still, and now the Civic takes the lead as we head on to the final lap of the race. Mach 1 Mustang never actually took the start, by the way. They're still sitting there on the start line. But anyway, final lap of the race now, and we're closing into the Civic down the inside into the first corner. This is going to be a nice easy move with the straight line speed that we have. And we'll just try and glide it through the corner. A little bit of contact with the barrier there, and that's just because you can't turn on these tyres. It's actually quite tricky. What are you doing down there? You should be taking the high line. I think I tried something different, but it's ultimately not going to work for us. It's given us a pretty bad exit, and here comes the Civic, and they give us a push. Thanks, that's actually really helpful. So that has reignited the battle. I thought they were just going to sweep around and we'd never see them again. But no, we are in with a chance of holding on to this. We absolutely hugged the inside through the right-hander, trying to shorten the line as much as possible. But the Civic still able to swing around the outside. And now we are all about focusing on the exit into the tunnel. And we get a decent one given our lack of mid-corner speed. And now it is about the run to the final corner and to the finish. So let's see what we can do as we sit in the slipstream of the Civic. We might be able to do something here. We're not quite close enough, and the Civic is just about going to hold on. I think the Colombian driver is going to take victory here at high speed ring, unless we can get a really good run to the finish. I should be in the slipstream here. I don't know what I'm doing, but anyway, we now moved across to the slipstream, but it's too little too late. The Civic is going to take victory here at high speed ring. That was a pretty interesting race, really. Unfortunately, couldn't hold on to it. But yeah, in the end, less than a second between us. And again, it was that dynamic of one car being faster in the straights, one faster in the corners, and one car that couldn't quite keep up, which for once wasn't me. So that's nice. But anyway, the Ford actually does make the finish 3 laps behind. So yeah, after we started the last lap, he must have finally got the engine running in the Ford. So good job, you finished. But anyway, that brings an end to that one. And we move on to the next race. We head now to Daytona. This is a completely different race to all the previous ones. But we're doing a Group 3 race at Daytona with BOP. So all the cars should be around about the same performance. And I've found since this race... Oh, we've jumped the start. Good job. Good job, me. And, oh, we've been rear-ended. Okay, well, I don't know why that guy didn't drive around us, but regardless, we get going once again. He's given us a boost to get us up to speed, and we now race our way down towards the first corner. That probably relieves the pressure a little bit. We're already starting at the back, basically, and now we don't have to charge down to the first corner in the middle of the whole field of cars. But yeah, that was pretty silly. Obviously, wasn't paying attention to the false start checker there. But anyway, we make our way through the infield for the first time, and we're in second last position thanks to the Brazilian giving us a push off the start, and they remain behind us for the time being as we head into the second of these kind of hairpin corners. I don't know if they're tight enough to be considered hairpins, but they are slow speed right-handers. And now through the left we'll get back out onto the banking, and in this kind of race I'm hoping we can just hold on to this position. I'm keeping up alright so far, and it was through this race I kind of discovered that Daytona is actually a fairly strong track for me, the road course. You know, I can keep up better on this circuit than most others, as we now head down towards the bus stop chicane, and we're actually on the second lap of the race now. And if there's one point of the circuit that I do struggle with, it is that chicane. So, you know, we do lose out a little bit through there, and the Brazilian in the Porsche is trying to make the move down the inside through the banking, and they're just about going to get through there. We're going to keep fighting for this position. We're up on the outside. We'll see what we can do as we head into the first corner. Late on the brakes, trying to glide it in with good speed, and we have a bit of a moment mid-corner, but we actually do hold on to the position, so that worked out well for us. We actually moved up another position because the GT by Citroen has dropped down to the back of the field, so we're up into P7 now as we exit the right-hander and into the center of the midfield once more. So we're doing a decent job to hold on to this position so far. If we can finish P7, I'd be very happy with that in this race, because some of the people, especially towards the front of this field, are actually very, very quick drivers as we exit the second right-hander, and we'll head out onto the banking once more. through the final left-hander of the infield, and out now on to the banking. We'll see if we can hold on to this position. We have good straight line speed, but the Porsche is actually very good out of the corners, and you know, the corners are where we struggle a little bit more in this car. So yeah, that was always sort of coming. We're going to have a little look to the inside as we run now down towards the chicane, but I didn't really want to risk putting the nose in there because I'm not particularly good at the chicane, and yeah, I decided not to risk that one. Another car drops down the field. It is the Ford GT, and yeah, I don't know what happened to them, but they tumble down into last position as the GT by Citroën is starting to catch us once again. So that will be our new target. We're still in 7th position. We gained a position as soon as we lost one there, so we can still come away with 7th place if we can hold off the GT by Citroën. We throw it in deep into the first corner. That sound and the deltas on the left hand side tells the story of the GT by Citroën having a massive lose in the braking zone. That or an epic fail of trying to take me out, one or the other. But either way, we push on and get away from that unscathed. I wish I could have seen how close that was because it sounded close. But regardless, we kept up alright with the Porsche actually, the Brazilian driver in front of us, and just, you know, maintained a fairly close distance to the final lap. So pretty happy with my driving in this one, and they goes for a moment there, slows their momentum. We have a little run, but not enough to catch them before the finish line. Just gave me a brief moment of hope, but it was not to be. We crossed the line, 7th position. We don't finish last. We beat the GT by Citroën. We were close with the Porsche. So yeah, that was a fairly solid race. No real mistakes. So yeah, I think that was a pretty solid one. Anyway, that is going to do it for this one. So yeah, I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Really do appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. And other than that, I will see you in the next one, and goodbye.